The night was too still for Atlanta. Streetlights trembled under the hum of rain, and a murmurous reflection shimmered in the limousine window, uncertain, beautiful, and terrified. She hadn't planned on selling her name, but desperation had a way of rewriting rules. When the tinted glass lowered and Elijah Sterling's voice spilled into the silence, low, calm, and deliberate, she knew nothing in her life would remain untouched. He spoke of protection, not love. Of contracts, not vows. Yet the air between them felt like static on the edge of a storm. His eyes, cold and unreadable, lingered a second too long, and something in her chest broke open. The pen shook in her hand as she signed, unaware that the man across from her would one day die to keep her breathing. Outside, thunder rolled like fate signing its own signature. Morning breaks over the city like a secret unkept. Amara wakes in a marble guest suite. She doesn't remember entering, her mind fogged with exhaustion and disbelief. The scent of cedar and rain lingers in the air. His scent. On the nightstand lies a folded note, written in a steady, masculine hand. "You are safe. Do not leave until I return." She reads it twice, tracing the letters like they might reveal a truth deeper than ink. The silence of the penthouse hums with unseen power. And for the first time, fear feels strangely like protection. Outside, the storm has passed, but something heavier hangs in the air. A promise that even safety comes at a cost. When Elijah finally returns, dusk has turned the skyline into molten copper. His presence fills the doorway. Sharp suit, silent tension, the faint trace of exhaustion in his posture. Amara watches him pour whiskey without a word. The room feels charged, as though every breath is part of a deal neither of them understands. When she asks what the contract truly protects her from, his answer is a whisper. From everyone who ever wanted to own you. The words hang heavy between them, and in that pause, the contract begins to feel less like paper, more like chains. Night deepens, and Amara wanders through hallways of marble and shadow. She finds a locked door, the only one in the penthouse. Curiosity burns louder than fear. A faint hum seeps from behind it, mechanical and alive. She kneels, presses her ear against the frame, and hears Elijah's voice, low, urgent, speaking to someone she cannot see. Her breath catches as he says her name, followed by the words, "She doesn't know yet." She backs away before the door opens, heart pounding, realizing that the contract may have saved her life. But from what? As the city sleeps, Amara steps onto the balcony. Wind lifts her hair, carrying whispers of thunder far beyond the skyline. Behind her, Elijah watches silently, the glow of the city outlining him like a ghost. In that silence lies an unspoken truth, that this marriage, born of fear and necessity, is already rewriting both their destinies. When his voice finally breaks the quiet, it's barely above the wind. Whatever happens next, don't trust anyone. Not even me. The days settle into silence. Amara learns the rhythm of the penthouse, the echo of footsteps, the hum of hidden security, the way Elijah's presence fills a room even when he doesn't speak. He keeps his distance, his kindness deliberate and measured. Yet every night when he returns from his shadowed errands, she feels his eyes linger just a moment too long. The marriage feels less like a disguise and more like a trap woven from restraint. Still, beneath that tension, something forbidden begins to bloom, something neither of them dares to name. One evening, Elijah calls her into his office. The space smells of cedar, leather, and power, walls lined with contracts, screens, and secrets. He asks if she's comfortable. The question sounds simple, but the look in his eyes isn't. She answers yes, though her voice falters. He studies her as if searching for something he lost long ago. When she moves to leave, he says quietly, "You remind me of the reason I stopped believing in safety." The words shake her in ways she doesn't yet understand. Amara, escapes the silence by exploring the city during daylight, pretending she's still free, but freedom feels foreign now. Even in crowded cafes and open-air markets, she senses invisible eyes following. A black car passes twice. A phone buzzes with no caller ID. She returns home shaken, only to find Elijah waiting in the dark. He doesn't ask where she's been. He simply says, "Next time, take one of my drivers." His voice is calm, but his hands, clenched tight behind his back, betrayed a storm inside him. That night, thunder crawls across the sky as Amara finds Elijah on the balcony, shirt undone, rain flecking his hair. For the first time, he looks breakable. She asks him why he's afraid. Not of her, but for her. He doesn't answer immediately. Then softly, "Because the people who want me gone don't mind using the people I love." The word love lingers, raw and unexpected. She feels it burn into her chest, even as lightning cuts across his face like a warning. She doesn't know it yet, but that confession will be the first thread of his undoing. The following morning, Amara wakes to find a small velvet box on her nightstand. Inside rests a black opal ring. Not her wedding band, but something older, richer, humming with memory. Beneath it, a note in Elijah's handwriting. "In case I'm not there when you need me." Her hands tremble as she slips the ring onto her finger. She doesn't know if it's a gift or a goodbye, but something in her heart whispers that protection and love have become one and the same. And neither comes without blood. The air feels different that morning. Still, expectant, wrong. Amara senses it before she opens her eyes. A chill slips through the penthouse walls, and silence replaces the usual hum of distant traffic. When she steps into the kitchen, she finds the door to the private elevator ajar, the keypad light flickering. Elijah's security detail is gone. The phone on the counter vibrates once, an unknown number flashing "Leave now." Her pulse races, the world shrinking into sound and breath. She turns toward the living room and freezes. The glass balcony door stands open, curtains billowing, rain drifting inside like a whisper. Someone has been there. Someone still might be. The break-in lasts seconds, but it feels like forever. Glass shatters. A masked figure lunges. Amara's scream is swallowed by thunder as she runs toward the hallway, barefoot against cold marble. A gunshot echoes. One. Then silence. When she looks back, Elijah is there, standing over the fallen intruder, smoke curling from his weapon. His chest heaves with rage and fear, but his voice remains steady. "You were never supposed to see this," he says, eyes dark as stormlight. That night, Amara stops seeing him as her husband by contract, and starts realizing she's married to a man haunted by his own war. Later that night, the police leave, their questions deflected by Elijah's influence. The body disappears into the system before Amara can even ask a name. Elijah sits in silence, hands clasped, jaw set in iron. When she presses him for answers, his calm breaks. "They weren't after me this time," he admits. "They were sent for you." His confession lands heavier than any bullet. The truth twists between them, that their marriage was not protection from danger, but bait to draw it closer. Amara's world tilts, and for the first time, she fears not only for her life, but for her heart. Days pass under lockdown. Amara becomes a ghost inside the penthouse, watched, guarded, contained. Elijah tries to reach her, his voice gentle, but guilt laces every word. One evening, he leaves his phone unattended and a text flashes across the screen from a contact labeled Vanessa. She's becoming a liability. Amara freezes. The name, the tone, it's personal. She doesn't know who Vanessa is yet, but the message feels like a blade pressed to her spine. In that moment, she understands. Someone close to Elijah wants her gone, and he's not as in control as he pretends. That night, Amara confronts him. The rain beats hard against the glass, lightning cutting through their words. "Who is Vanessa?" she demands. Elijah's silence is answer enough. He looks exhausted, not just from danger, but from years of carrying secrets too heavy to share. Finally, he says, "My sister, and she's the reason you can't leave." The truth hits like a storm breaking inside her chest. The contract, the marriage, the protection, all of it was never about love or money. It was about keeping her alive long enough to survive his family's war. And deep down, she knows that war has only just begun. Morning light pours into the penthouse, soft and forgiving, yet the tension between them remains palpable. Amara sits near the window, tracing raindrops sliding down the glass. Elijah enters quietly, his presence filling the space like gravity. For hours they sit in silence, listening to the distant hum of Atlanta waking. When he finally speaks, it's a confession, unguarded. He reveals moments of childhood betrayal, business wars, and family secrets that made him wary of love. Her chest tightens with understanding. She realizes that beneath his cold precision lies a man who has spent his life carrying ghosts. And for the first time, she sees him not as a protector or employer, but as a man deserving of trust, even if it scares her. In the kitchen, Elijah makes coffee with meticulous care, each movement deliberate, a reflection of the control he rarely shares. Amara watches from the counter, curiosity mixing with admiration. He explains that every detail, every plan, every contract is to shield her from unseen enemies. She laughs softly, a fragile, almost startled sound, realizing that beneath the meticulous billionaire is a man who loves through protection, not touch. Their eyes meet over the steam rising from the cup. A silent understanding passes between them. Trust must be earned, but desire has already crept in unnoticed. Afternoon brings vulnerability. Elijah invites Amara to his private rooftop garden, a hidden oasis of greenery and stone. He reveals a personal habit, sketching flowers to calm his mind, a ritual from childhood. She kneels beside him, tracing his sketches, noticing the faint calluses on his fingers and the tenderness in his eyes. Laughter escapes her lips for the first time in weeks. In that rooftop world, danger feels distant, almost suspended. She senses that intimacy, fragile and electric, has begun to root between the spaces of fear and obligation. Evening descends with firelight dancing across the penthouse walls. Elijah and Amara share dinner quietly, each movement deliberate yet intimate. Their hands brush over the table, lingering just long enough to send shivers down her spine. He admits he has nightmares of losing her, of being unable to protect her. Her hand covers his, trembling. For the first time, they share a moment not as contract partners, but as two hearts desperate to connect, both aware that love is a fragile shield against the world outside. That night, safety is no longer just about survival. It is about belonging. Night deepens, and they stand together on the balcony. The city sprawls beneath them, a glittering labyrinth of possibility and danger. Elijah wraps a hand around Amara's waist, hesitant but protective. She leans in, feeling the weight of his heart against hers. His confession comes in a whisper, almost lost to the wind. "I can't promise tomorrow, but tonight, I'm yours. Fully, if you'll let me be." In that fleeting moment, the walls crumble. Love blooms in the shadow of threat, delicate but undeniable, and neither knows that the storm approaching will demand more than either of them can bear. The city hums under the weight of dusk, unaware of the storm gathering inside the sterling penthouse. Amara senses it before Elijah speaks. Tension tightens the air like a coiled wire. Footsteps echo, unfamiliar and deliberate. She turns toward the hall, heart hammering, and seizes him, calm but resolute, fingers brushing the edge of a sleek black pistol. "They've found us," he whispers, voice steady but low, almost reverent. Every ounce of control he's maintained over his world falters as he pulls her close. The contract, the protection, the love, it all comes down to this moment, and Amara knows with a sinking clarity that survival will cost him everything. The intruders come in a blur of black and steel. Glass shatters again. Amara freezes, paralyzed by fear and disbelief. Elijah moves with the precision of a man trained by obsession and love, positioning himself between her and the threat. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat counts. He shouts her name once, sharply, and the world narrows into a single pulse of protection. She realizes, amid terror, that his life is no longer just his own. It exists solely to keep her alive, and he will stop at nothing. One of the intruders lunges toward Amara, knife glinting under dim light. Elijah throws himself forward, taking the blow meant for her. Pain blossoms across his side, sharp and consuming, but he doesn't falter. He yells for her to run. Amara's scream pierces the night as he collapses to the marble floor, blood spreading like ink. In that moment, the contract becomes meaningless. Only one thing matters: survival, love, and sacrifice. She doesn't yet know the depth of his planning, the finality of his choice, but she will carry it forever. Paramedics arrive, but it's too late to shield him from the damage done. Amara clings to his hand, every heartbeat a desperate prayer. He whispers her name once, a smile breaking through pain, eyes filled with love and regret. "I told you, always safe," he murmurs. Her tears fall on his chest, mingling with rain and blood, a tragic baptism of a love that was never meant to be ordinary. The room is quiet except for the sound of her sobs and the fading storm outside. She realizes the true cost of the contract: love protected through ultimate sacrifice. Night returns to the city with an empty weight. Amara stands on the balcony alone, his absence a hollow ache in her chest. The storm has passed, but his sacrifice reverberates like thunder inside her. The contract, once a symbol of safety, is now a memory of love that demanded the ultimate price. Clutching the black opal ring he left her, she gazes at the skyline he fought to protect her from, understanding for the first time the depth of his devotion. Elijah Sterling may be gone, but his heart beats on in every decision she will make. Living fully, loving bravely, and never forgetting the man who died so she could survive. Morning light pierces the quiet of the Sterling penthouse, but the warmth feels hollow. Amara moves through the empty space as though she is treading water, every object a reminder of what she has lost. On the desk lies an envelope with her name in Elijah's handwriting. Inside, a letter sealed with black wax, a confession, a map of secrets and instructions that promise her safety. She reads it slowly, each word a pulse of his lingering presence. Tears mingle with awe as she realizes he had orchestrated this final act, not for power, not for money, but so she could live beyond his absence. The weight of grief is tempered by a glimmer of hope he left behind. Amara walks through the city streets for the first time without fear, though the echo of Elijah's absence hangs like a shadow. Every black car passing, every glance from strangers, reminds her of the danger he shielded her from. She stops at a quiet cafe, opens his letter again, and discovers a hidden instruction to invest in a small property he purchased for her in the countryside. The realization strikes her. Even in death, he is providing. The love he cultivated in secrecy now lives in her freedom, a ghostly guardian, ensuring she can rebuild her life unafraid. Night descends and Amara returns to the penthouse. In the quiet of the living room, she discovers a hidden drawer in Elijah's desk. Inside, photographs of them together, moments she never knew he captured. Her laughter over coffee, her focused gaze while designing, fleeting touches at the balcony. There's a flash drive with video recordings of him speaking to her, explaining his thoughts, his fears, and the life he hoped she'd have. Watching his face, hearing his voice, she feels him beside her once more. Love lingers beyond flesh. It echoes in memory and intention. Amara ventures to the countryside property Elijah secured for her. The air is crisp, and the wind carries a sense of sanctuary. Here, she begins to plant a garden he had envisioned, each seed a tribute to his foresight and care. She whispers his name as she digs, imagining him beside her, smiling with quiet pride. For the first time since his death, she feels a glimmer of peace. The danger, the betrayal, and the bloodshed no longer dominate her world. Instead, his ghost guides her hands, shaping a life beyond fear, beyond grief. As night falls, Amara sits on the porch, gazing at stars that feel closer than ever. In her lap rests Elijah's black opal ring, glowing faintly in moonlight. She speaks to him softly, recounting her day, her triumphs, her fears. Though he is gone, she senses his presence, a protective shadow, a heartbeat beneath her own. The contract is void, the danger diminished, yet his love remains, eternal and unyielding. In the silence of the countryside, Amara finally understands. Elijah Sterling may have died to protect her body, but his love will guard her soul forever. The ocean stretches endlessly before her, waves tumbling with relentless rhythm. Amara stands at the edge of a cliffside, Elijah's black opal ring glinting in the sunlight on her hand. The wind tugs at her curls, salty and liberating. She breathes deeply, recalling his whispered promises, his steadfast protection, and the life he envisioned for her. Every memory, every letter, every secret he left behind has led her here. To freedom, to survival, to the possibility of joy. She whispers his name, a vow and a thank you intertwine. In that moment, the horizon doesn't feel empty. It feels full of the love he gave, and the life she will now live. Back at the countryside property, Amara tends to the garden Elijah planned. Each flower, each tree is a living testament to his foresight. She works methodically, her hands steady, her mind serene. The letters he left guide her choices, and with every seed planted, she feels his presence beside her, not as a shadow of grief, but as a beacon of love. The danger of the past has faded, replaced with determination. She realizes that living fully is the truest tribute she can offer to a man who gave everything for her. Amara opens Elijah's final letter once more, reading words that feel like a heartbeat across time. He writes of love, hope, and belief in her strength, revealing small details of a future he dreamed she'd have. Her chest swells with gratitude and sorrow, but also resolve. She folds the letter carefully, placing it atop the mantel in the small countryside home. In his absence, she finds clarity. The contract no longer defines her. She is free, she is alive, and she carries the essence of the man who lived and died for her. One evening, Carter Brooks visits. The childhood friend who quietly loved her all these years stands at the door, hesitant but loyal. Amara greets him, not with sorrow, but with the steadiness of someone who has survived and grown. They sit together on the porch, sharing stories of the past, laughter mixing with the breeze. While her heart still aches for Elijah, she realizes life can hold multiple layers of love, remembrance, friendship, and the promise of new beginnings. She is no longer the woman who signed a contract out of fear. She is Amara Collins, survivor, heir to a love that transcended death. Amara returns to the cliff at dawn, the waves crashing below. She holds the black opal ring in her hand one last time, a symbol of Elijah's love, sacrifice, and foresight. She whispers a vow. To live bravely, love fully, and never forget the man who gave her everything. With the horizon before her and the wind in her hair, she steps forward, ready to embrace the life he protected. The past no longer chains her. The future, guided by love and courage, stretches infinitely. Elijah's heart beats within her, a promise beyond death.